I want to start tonight by bringing up our first presenter. Let's welcome Kienan to the stage.
How you guys doing? I'm Keenan Kendall. Nice to be here today. It's been a long time coming, so I'm very excited.
Hasn't been that long because Kienan has a great story. I've worked with Kienan since the beginning, and Kienan is a young guy. I asked Kienan earlier, you don't like to talk about people's age without their permission, so I asked Kienan, could you tell us your age, share your age with everyone?
26 years old.
26, so.
Just turned 26 in March, so March 1st.
And so Kienan, Kienan saved more money than almost anybody I've ever known. So tell a little bit about your story about how you, first of all, how you decided, well, first of all, before I'm skipping ahead, tell us a little bit about your family. I see some great pictures there. You're already living the lifestyle, it looks like.
Yeah, so been with my girlfriend for a good long time, about 8 years. And
8 years?
Yeah, it's been a while.
That's common law married.
Yeah, I've been told that just recently, so I gotta be careful. Here's my dad, mom, my brother on here on the left, and then I have a twin brother and his girlfriend here on the right of this picture. This us going out to eat for Mother's Day. This recent Mother's Day just passed. Lately, I've been traveling with my girlfriend a little more, trying to live the lifestyle. You know, you gotta learn to enjoy the money as well. But I'm a hermit. I love to save. The first 2 or 3 years since I got with lifestyles, I was staying with my parents, saving up, car paid off. Wasn't trying my best not to go anywhere with my girlfriend, but you know, she pushed me to go out a little more.
So you took her that? Did you take her to the Scottish restaurant?
No, I didn't.
Oh, McDonald's?
Oh yeah, we've been there. But I definitely saved most of my money, and you know, that's basically how I got here. Just saving, putting it all together, and coming to these case studies was what motivated me the whole time. You know, I was coming here on a monthly basis.
Hold the microphone.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me well or no? Yeah. Okay. So coming to these case studies every month is what motivated me. Every month I'm saving. Coming here, seeing people preventing is definitely what, you know, inspired me to kind of, you know, keep going, looking at houses, going on road trips. You know, it really kept me focused on what I was doing. And fortunately, I was able to get me one in December. So very, very excited. Great process. So.
And Keenan and I talked a lot. So first of all, tell us a little bit about, you know, why you joined. I know you were saving, you had a goal, but what was your goal? Why did you decide you wanted to do real estate?
Okay, so in college, read The Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and it's so funny that that's the beginning of a lot of people's story. It really did change my opinion on, you know, what an asset was, in addition to, you know, how real estate can retire you, and is responsible for a lot of the millionaires in the U.S. at least. So, you know, reading that book, I kind of got my mind, you know, interested in, okay, well, can real estate possibly be for me? I definitely wanted to see if it was an avenue for me to retire early. So ever since I got out of college, got my first job, my main priority, the week I got my first job, was calling anybody I knew to find a mentor for real estate. So reached out to my aunt, who had just recently became a realtor. She was a teacher before that. And she just gave me the words Lifestyles Unlimited. She told me that that was a mentor of hers that told her that this was an organization that, you know, mentors people in investing in real estate. So I looked it up online, went here on my own, was by myself, and came to that first Thursday little seminar they had. And from that point, I was like, I think this is it. And from that point on, every month, I just came, like I say, back to these case studies, seeing these real people actually coming up, you know, different circumstances in life, but all coming out to the same result. So that's what really inspired me to say maybe I can do it. So.
And when did you join?
I joined 2019, and I think it was about maybe June or April of that year. So been since then, I've been saving and being here. Yeah.
And so I talked to Keenan, and different people join for different reasons. Some people focus on cash flow. They want to build cash flow quickly to replace our income or expenses. Keenan had a different plan, not different than Lifestyles members. He had planned the second plan available, and you focus on equity capture. And at your young age, when I joined, I was a bit older than 23 years old. And so I was trying to build cash quickly because I'd been working a lot of years, a lot of hours, and I wanted to retire. I just wanted cash flow. Cash flow was my primary concern. Keenan you weren't looking to replace your job. So tell us about what you were looking for.
So I was basically looking for equity capture. I mean, like Sorrell said, he's downplaying it. I called him so much. We talked for hours. I mean, it's crazy how much he was available. And if he didn't answer, he would return the call. And, you know, during COVID, I was able to work from home a lot. So just working from home, I was able to call him up. Me and him talked for an hour and a half almost, seemed like every phone call. And I was just telling him what I was looking for. He taught me how, going for capital gains or equity in properties was going to help you parlay your portfolio and build it a little bit faster if you have time and are willing to work. So that was my main goal, looking for a property with equity. And fortunately, I was lucky enough to find one.
And that's what the mentors do. We are here to figure out where you are today, what your goals are, and then the best method to get you to your goal. So we want to lay out the roadmap from point A to point B and get you to your goal. And there were a lot of properties that were available that other members bought that Kienan could have bought, but they didn't meet his criteria. It didn't meet his goal 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road. And so that's why Kienan took a little longer than some people to find that first property, but the numbers were phenomenal, and we'll get to those numbers here in a little bit. So this is your first property. This is on Westover Street, and you got a before and after picture there. So, we buy David has some colorful terms he'll talk about this weekend for the types of properties we look for, but we're not buying the pretty properties. We're buying the distressed properties that are going to need some work. That's how you can get the best opportunities. So tell us a little bit about what this property looked like. That's the before and after of the kitchen, and you can see it was quite the transformation on that.
Yeah, so like Sorrell said, I looked through plenty of properties.
Couple.
Before, yeah, a lot of properties before this one. Almost went through it a lot. Jumped out scared a lot of times, and I'm sure anybody who's starting out can relate. But this one, as crazy as it seems, by the time I got to this one, I had seen, 20, 30 properties before then. Actually seen them. Probably almost went through with maybe like 5 or 10. So I seen a lot. And this one was the worst one. Second to one we went on a road trip. That one we went like all the way in, where was that at? Near Tomball area?
I've been to so many.
I forgot, I know, right? Second worst I've seen. And I walked in here, my head was like this going through this property. I promise it was the most disgusting house I've ever seen. And it had rat poop throughout the whole house. And I guess I decided, hey, this was the one, right?
Hey, wait.
And made the decision to say, okay,
What is the smell of money?
rat pee, right?
Rat poop. There you go.
Rat poop. And I'm telling you, that's exactly what was in this house. And go ahead.
And there were a couple of times, and like I said, we really worked closely with the members at the beginning to find out exactly what they wanted, how to get there. And there were a couple of times Kienan was at the edge. He was ready to jump off, and I'd say, Kienan, tell me again what your criteria is. Tell me what your goals are. Tell me what you're looking for. And he'd say them again. He knew them. And I'd say, does this property meet your goal? And what'd you do then?
I was like, probably not you, right? Oh, I think it's not.
You hit the button.
I probably did.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah. Is it running out of battery? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So basically, Sorrell is correct. One thing about you learning the information, it's another thing, in my opinion, to internalize it and remember it when you're looking at a lot of these houses. Sometimes you get so excited trying to get that first one, but you want to try your best to stay close to the criteria that you set at the beginning. That's a great thing to keep in mind. And definitely, I was ready to jump off the ledge. Every property I seen, this is for me. But of course, he brought me back to what he taught me, and that definitely helped.
Yeah. So this is just the bathroom. So the house was really bad condition, really, really bad condition. But because it was such bad condition, you were able to buy it at a very low price, which allowed you to get the equity capture you were looking for. So let's take a look at the numbers. So the house, as it's set, you could buy it for $87,000. Once it was rehabbed and you had to put $55,000 into it, it had an appraised value of $165,000. And your cash out of pocket is higher. David mentioned the average today in the Houston market is about $30,000. You put in $49,000 out of pocket. And again, you were saving like a madman, saving. And you found other properties. There were other properties that were $25,000, $30,000 out of pocket, but they did not meet your criteria.
That's correct.
And so when you found this one, the rent is $15,000, almost $16,000 a year. Your cash flow is $357 a month, which gives you a 9% cash-on-cash return, which is still better than CDs and money markets and retirement funds and things like that. Not the highest in cash flow or cash-on-cash return, but again, that wasn't your goal. But look at the equity capture number.
100%.
You bought this property and your net worth was instantly $49,000 higher.
Would like to double your money in your first deal. Give him a hand. That's huge.
Thank you.
And David's going to go into reasons about this, but you're doing this because you want to turn this property quicker and buy more properties.
That's
and by
correct.
having huge equity is the way you're going to be able to do that. So fantastic job. You set back. I had to pull you back a few times, but to get 100% return on equity in your first property is absolutely amazing. So congrats on that.
Definitely, it was definitely worth it.
He's all smiles now.
Exactly. I can tell you that, the process was, stressful at times, but it was no more stressful than what I'm sure any of you experienced at work. But it was worth it because it was very short, time frame. It took me 2 to 3 months to completely change this property and to, complete that process and have an asset at the end of that. For me, my first time ever experienced something like that, it was incredible. And just knowing that, now I'm getting checks, automatically, never having to go to the house. My tenant's really good. It's a great experience.
So I got to ask you a couple questions because there's some new folks here, never been here before. How much work did you do on this house?
What I did on this house was probably picked up some sticks in the yard.
Okay.
Because that was me. That was it.
We were getting worried for a second.
When you hesitated, I was about to throw you off the
Make him
stage.
worried as a mentor because he knows I'll get on him.
I cannot do anything. So, picking up sticks is about the best I can do.
I would ask her if you could not do anything. Yeah. So guys, I want you to understand if you're new. Every time you pick up a hammer, you lose money. We pay other people to do it. Remember, it's about building a team. Those vendors are your team. The hard money lenders, the back-end lenders, the appraisers. He wrote checks for everything. How many people in this room can write a check? Then you could be a real estate investor. That is the way to do it. You write a check, you let the other people do the work, you reap the reward, you make 100% return. Got it?
David, I got to correct you on that. I actually didn't even write a check. I did the wire transfer.
Okay.
Even better, even faster.
There you go.
Okay.
Awesome.
So tell us how Lifestyles is, since you're young, your first house, how is Lifestyles changing your life?
Okay, so basically it's showing me that, I can build an asset and showing me that, I can see the future being one in which I retire from, an asset that's making money for me versus working a job. And I think that's an important lesson to learn at a young age, and building on top of that and showing me that I can do it. One thing I said a little earlier in the bio that they sent out was, sell everything you can that you don't need, of course, and save up as much as you can and show yourself you can do it one time if you haven't done it yet. And I promise it's going to change your perspective on making money in general. And then knowing that every time I'm relaxing, I'm lazy, I'm just chilling, and that my property is growing in equity and the principal pay down, that's just incredible. Knowing that, for most of my life, all I thought is you have to actually get up in order to make money. So it's a good experience to know I can do otherwise.
Excellent. And at some point, you're going to get to the stage where you can dress like David and I. And
Dress down a little bit, yeah, this the work attire.
obviously, you didn't get the memo today. Okay, so tell us what's next for you. Tell us about your short-term goals.
Okay, so short term, I plan on waiting for this property to season about 6 months, and I'll go back to my lender and see if it's possible or if it's worth doing a cash out refi on the property and buying another property with it. I have so much equity, it makes sense to pull that money out and buy another house. If not in 6 months, wait a year out, and in a year's time, I'm gonna pull the money out of the equity, nothing out of my pocket, and go buy another house with it. That's the value of cash out refi. One of the most amazing tools that I found here at Lifestyles through the education. So looking forward to buying a house before the end of this year. And like I say, once I buy that one, it's growing in equity as well. Continue going until I'm tired of it, and I'm not going to get tired of making money.
So now that you've completely done this perfectly, how long do you think it'll take you to find your next one? Do you think you'll go a lot faster because you did it once?
That is such a great question. You'd be so surprised at how simple it is. My twin brother, is going through it now, and it's just funny listening to the questions.
He calls me a lot, too.
Yeah, it's funny listening to the questions he's asking because once you go through the entire, experience and see all the things that's necessary, you're gonna be mad you can't get the next one if you don't have the resources. You're gonna be ready to get that next property, and it's gonna take me no time. I can walk a house the first time and know that's the one I want to buy. Just from that first experience, of course, I did a tough one, but now, through that experience, I feel very confident going through with the next property.
Yeah. And one thing Dell talked about at the expo was significance, and I like what you're doing here to be significant to the community. So tell us a little bit briefly about what you want to do once you get more stable and have more time.
Okay, so like I said, I don't think that's here with the amount I want to say, but I want to get to the point where I have enough properties to make me about $2,000 a month in passive income That's about my expenses. I'm a little less than that. Of course, I'm still frugal. So I want to get to the point where I have enough property to cover those expenses and get to the point where I'm choosing to work in my job and not having to work in my job. And then, free me up enough time to mentor, teenagers and kids coming up in the world, just, giving them an idea of how to live life based on my experience. I'm not somebody who has a vast experience in life, but I have been told that I have enough, experience, and that could be a great role model to people younger than me. So just want to mentor.
Great.
Thank you. Very passionate about that, so I'm looking forward to having that opportunity.
Okay, now since you have a girlfriend, let's tell us about the long term, because she's probably not going to let you be frugal.
Yeah. She's fighting every day. She's fighting every day. But definitely, when I get that, passive income, I think it'll make me a lot more comfortable, and I'm sure any guy can relate financially, feeling more stable to move on to the next step. Of course, marry my girlfriend and, live a life together, buy us a house, and knowing every day I'm waking up in that house, paying that mortgage, that it's being funded through this passive real estate and not me going up every day, living a life of a husband who's, having to go to work and doing that whole grind mentality. I want to get out of that mentality.
And you know how you tell when she's the right one?
What's that?
Hey, baby, I can't wait till we buy a fourplex and we live in one and rent the other 3 out.
I just told her that. I swear. I'm sure she's watching this. I just told her that yesterday. And I'm telling you, if anybody has a girlfriend like mine and fighting, to spend money and enjoy life, I'm telling you, when you do something like this in front of her and she hasn't experienced this, she has really changed her perspective on what is possible. And I'm telling you, she was interested in that. So I'm excited. Hopefully this market
Oh, damn, that's
comes down a little bit. I'm definitely shooting that to her.
And what's her name?
Maria.
Maria couldn't be here tonight, but she's watching
working,
online.
yes, she
So hi, Maria. And Keanan's not crazy. You heard it from David Fisher. It's the right thing to do. So.
I agree.
Okay. And you mentioned in your long-term goals, my passion in life, travel. So, I'm looking forward to you getting to that stage. And I can,
I'm definitely
forget the
reaching
mentoring
out to
on
you.
real estate. I can talk to you about travel. So.
I'm looking forward to that.
Okay. So let's talk about your team. So, I talked to you a couple of times over the last couple of years, once or twice. And your realtor was Moon Kim.
That's
And I have
definitely so.
some statistics here for you. I had to get these numbers from our realty manager. And, in the Houston area, the greater Houston area, there are 45,000 realtors. And 4 of the Lifestyles realtors, Lifestyles is a realty team, they find these types of properties. They find these distressed properties. Most realtors aren't out there looking for that $87,000 property with the rat poop in it. And so the realtors that specialize in investing is what Lifestyles has, the Lifestyles realty team. And they're the ones who bring these properties. And out of 45,000 people, 4 of our realtors were not just among the 45,000, they were the best of the best. And in ranking order, the 24th best realtor in the greater Houston area was Jeff Jenkins. The 18th best was John Johnson. The 17th best was Jennifer McCormick. And Moon Kim was the #1 realtor in number of properties sold in Houston out of 45,000 realtors.
Congrats, Moon, if you're looking at this.
Okay.
He was a great realtor to work with, so definitely would recommend him. Great.
And then you use some of the companies on the Lifestyles vendor list. So tell us a little bit about who else is on your team.
Okay, so other than Moon as being my realtor, I had Corbett Total Property Care, Mondale, if you guys ever heard of that name before. Great company, worked with everybody in there, Ron.
He's your general contractor.
Yeah, he's the general contractor that helped me build the property, and great person, very patient, willing to answer questions, come out, see the property with you more times than one if you need to. So very helpful throughout the whole process. Spearhead Insurance, again, Corinne and Dorothy helped me with my property specifically. Very nice, very helpful, explain very much in detail what you're buying and what you're getting with the policy that you have, and not just trying to sell you something. They're very, very helpful. So I really would suggest them. Inspections by Pat. Pat, I worked with him on almost all of the properties. The other one I worked with was, I can't think of his name. But I worked with Pat on majority of my properties, and he definitely know me. I'm sure I paid him a lot.
What he
going
says
through
about,
those
about all
properties.
of his properties, so he has one, he goes out and looks at properties, and before you make a commitment, because most of the properties, that David will get into this on the weekend, most of the properties that are available to investors today require non-refundable deposits. And so you want to get an inspection, or at least an inspection consultation. David goes over those details before you put down $3,000 to $6,000 in a non-refundable deposit. So you spend a couple of $100s to get an inspection before you make that commitment. So you've probably put out a few of those.
Yeah,
looking
definitely.
at properties.
Like I said, if anybody feeling like I just came and grabbed this one and that's how I did it, definitely not. I went over the edge, about to go all the way through, under contract with plenty of properties. Fortunately, I was at a time where they still had some of those MLS deals that I was still working on, so I was able to get the money back that I put down. But nowadays, most of them are wholesale, so you do have to put that non-refundable earnest money down. So don't do what I did.
And one thing with the vendors, I guess the vendor director was up here tonight. I wasn't in the room, but the vendors really understand the Lifestyles model. They work well. They bring you companies and products that work well in our environment. Anybody in the room had any damage to their homes during the flood, a year and a half ago? Nobody? You were all very...
The Imelda?
Yeah, not Imelda.
the flood?
No, the freeze. I'm sorry, I said flood.
the freeze,
The
the
freeze. February
Pipe
of
bursting. Yeah,
20.
my parents had pipe bursting.
Yeah, so I had two of my properties have some major damage. So when my resident called me to tell me about the damage, they described the damage, I immediately called a contractor. Corbett was working on one of my properties. And so I called my insurance company. It wasn't Spearhead, but it was another one on the vendor list. And so I think that was on a Monday or Tuesday morning. An adjuster was at my property 2 days later. I got a check in the mail 5 days later. The contractors are there, so in 9 days, both of my properties were fully repaired, and I had been paid. I know other people not in this system, they went months and months and months with damage to even their personal residences. So the vendors, most of the vendors on the list really understand what we do and how we do it, and they work very well within our system. So
I
just a little plug for that.
completely agree with that. One thing that Mundell has experience on is actually owning rental property itself. So understanding what to rehab that makes a difference in the appraisal price was extremely helpful, and knowing what to not spend money on because you won't be able to get it back in the rent and stuff like that. He understands so much about rental property specifically. It's not just a contractor that just does remodels. So that's very, very helpful.
And it's not just up to Mundell. There's all kinds of education after this weekend that you'll go through in classes, and we have classes on working with contractors, building your team, designing your scope of work. So, Keenan did tons of work before he ever got to Mundell. But once you're educated, then you work with the contractors educated in our model, everything works very smoothly.
But it's trust me, it's worth it.
Yeah. Okay, we got to have some time for a few questions. Anybody have any questions for Keenan? You said it
David, do you have anything online? If not,
we've got one up here. Is there microphones out there? Microphones coming.
raise your hand up high so you can see it.
Second row here. Microphone's coming to you.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, people online that can't hear you.
The only question I had is, being in the Houston area, I hear a lot about mold and that sort of thing. Did you have any issues on this house?
Not too much. We replaced a lot of the drywall. Like I say, the house was a mess, so
Well,
we replaced a
and
lot
just
of
so
drywall.
you know, I don't know if you're aware, sir, since tort reform, there's no more mold. It's now called mildew.
Oh, yeah,
Can't sue
right,
for it anymore.
right.
That's serious?
Yeah, I'm serious.
Oh, wow.
I know these things.
So yeah, take a look. When you go into the house, the inspector does a great job at noticing any mold that's around. But if you see, you usually can see it on the drywall. Just put in your budget to plan to replace that.
Yeah. David's gonna
That's why
teach-
we have that thing called the option period or whatever. We're going to look at it. We know our numbers ahead of time.
Yeah. David's going to teach you. We fix everything. You may have said that, but I wasn't paying attention when you were talking. But but we fix everything up front that needs fixing, like you saw in some of these pictures. But everything that doesn't have a 5 to 7 year life cycle left in it. So we want the best best product, best price. So when it's done, not only do you fix it up for the new resident moving in, but you minimize maintenance going forward for the next 5 to 7 years. So.
I agree with that.
I mean, did you look at Keenan's house? It was ugly, right? Was it not beautiful afterwards? He helped that whole community, the renter, provided jobs for a lot of people. He's given back in his own way. It's huge. Give him a hand for that because he did exactly what we taught.
Thank you. And I love that you brought that up. One thing I want to mention is that my renter grew up in this community. His entire family is in this community. So the opportunity to provide this house He said he's like the best one in the neighborhood. All his family, people drive by all the time and say, hey, you know, they're introducing themselves to him. So it's just so cool to be able to provide that opportunity. And soon I signed the lease with him. He gave me like a bottle of wine. I don't drink, but it was a great thought. And a note that's saying, thank you for trusting me with your house. So
Hold on. There are 3 non-drinkers on this stage.
I know, isn't that weird? Yeah, I don't drink either.
but the thought that counts, right? And he gave me a letter. I thought that was so cool. So it was a great experience, definitely in improving that community. I mean, that was one of the best parts about it. I'm so glad you brought that up. So
Excellent. Any other questions?
I had one question.
Okay.
One question. How old is the property? When was it built?
built in 1950, so it's old. It's old, definitely so.
So
But $50,000 later, it's beautiful.
did you have to take anything different into consideration because of the age?
Yes, I had some termites in the property, so had to get an inspection for that up front, treat them, and replace some of the framing in the house, but not most of it. So just
And
work that in the numbers.
Lifestyle teachers, there's actually a class on the portal in the education section called How to Buy Older Homes. It's a fantastic class because I taught it, but
Plumbing too. Plumbing and electrical, had to replace that too. So
But,
you want to fix everything up front.
yeah, but a lot of the money is made in older houses. So so don't shy away from a house just because of the age of it.
Definitely, definitely.
And there's different styles of investors in this room. There's people that are scared that'll buy a house built last year. And there's other ones who will buy a 1950s home. You buy what you want, and we will guide you through, adapt it to you and your style. Everybody with me on that? Everyone is different in this room.
Okay.
Well, let's.
One more question? Are we done?
I have one more thing to mention.
Okay.
Now, with the age of the house. So one of the best things I realized, and I'm glad I'm up here to share it today, is that when you invest in communities, think about it. The newer the house you're investing in, most likely if the neighborhood is really new, it only can get older. So one of the best things I realized, if you invest in older communities, the only thing all those old houses can do is get better. So that helps with your
Whatever they're
appraisal.
doing,
Yeah, they only can get, the area can only get newer. And every house in my area is either old and broken down, most likely about to be rehabbed, or it's newly renovated. So that helps with my ARV.
Absolutely.
All right,
Thank
let's
you,
give him a
Kienan.
hand. Thank you so much
Good
for
man.
giving back. Appreciate it.